pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Any public comments concerning any of the agenda items? If so, please state which agenda item, if any. Okay. We will take a roll call tonight since we do have a member that is virtual. Just please say aye if you're here. And for a virtual reality person, if you will raise your hand when your name is called and say aye also, please. Mr. Nipple.
Here.
Thank you. Mr. Meyer.
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Owens.
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Priest.
Aye.
Mr. Strasser.
Aye.
Thank you. And I am here. All right. Appreciate that. We need approval for our amended agenda that you guys have at your place. Need a motion for it.
I'll make a motion to accept the amended agenda as presented.
Thank you, Steve.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Thank you, Tim, for raising your hand. All right. Now we need approval of the minutes for June 14th, 2021 regular meeting. Need a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Chris. Zach, right? Okay, thank you. All right, have a motion, a second. Any discussion on the minutes that was given to us? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Dan. All right. Superintendent's report.
Okay.
You ready for your first official one?
I hope so. Couple of things going on. Registration has opened up. There's been quite a lot of activity. We are having on-site registration next Wednesday for any of the members of our community that cannot get on internet or are having problems, forget passwords, and that'll be located at the middle school and the elementary. So that's happening next Wednesday from 11 to 6. The trainings for the staff is out, so state mandated trainings, we went ahead and rolled out all those wonderful videos. So they are going to be working on those. And the residential tip is becoming a discussion that we're gonna need to bring to our table here soon. We talked to the mayor this week about the Delphi residential tip. I know the Carroll County Redevelopment Commission is also looking at a residential tip. So those are some things that we are gonna have to be aware of as a board. Hiring is going smoothly. We've had a lot of positions to hire. The middle school is still looking at assistant principal and an art candidate. High school needs math interventionists, so if anyone knows of anyone that can do math intervention, we would love to have their name. And the elementary still has interventionists that they need in Camden and the elementary. Today, we met with the Carroll County Health Department to discuss back to school plans. Things right now are still pretty much the same as we received from the health department from Indiana. We discussed as a team, and when I say we, I should also mention that Carroll School District was there. We really were talking and trying to make sure that both buildings are aligned, both those corporations. So that's kind of our big thing, is we make Carroll County have pretty much the same policies that we're following. One of the things though that came up today is next Wednesday we are going to be moving from blue to yellow. So our goal is that we are in person, that we try to go back to normal, but we also have to be continuing to realize that as much as we want to be gone, we still have COVID issues around us. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mrs. Circle on her report at this point? Okay. Routine matters, consent items A through G. We have payrolls and claim for $2,228,160.62. The monthly financials report submitted by the treasurer. Then we have employment of certified staff, employment of summer classified staff, employment of classified staff, ECA positions for the 2021 school year. If you note, we have a whole list instead of just been kind of doing them as we went. We've got them all ahead of time. And then our athletic recommendations for coaches on there. We do have some resignations from some people, fundraisers and facility use requests, and of course field trips. Can I get a motion on routine matters A through actually H?
Mr. President, I move we accept routine matters A through H as presented.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor.
Mr. Schwarzkopf, just real quick,
Oh, sorry.
I pulled up the, I wanted to look, since we have a member that is participating electronically, all the votes do need to be by roll call. All
Thank you.
So
Thank
just
you.
make sure you do that.
Yes, we can do that.
A little, I know you guys don't normally do it that way, but.
Okay,
that's what the
thank you
statute
for
requires.
being on the road, yes,
Yep.
that's right. Okay, when we get ready to go that route, we will
Yep.
do like we've been doing that. All right, any discussion?
I do have a question. So Mrs. Circle, this probably is one you might be able to help us with. We're changing Jody Burns' job description or position with this change, or is this?
No, she's gonna be paid through the pre-K through 12 functional behavioral specialist.
And her previous role was?
Well, Jody's role, we're hiring her in as a.
She did not work for that.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah,
She used to work with Jessica.
That's my confusion.
Yep.
Okay. I was thinking that she was just changing roles with that, and I thought we needed to clarify, but thank you. I had a moment.
Yep, that's okay. Any other questions? Tim, any question from you?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Any others? I'm gonna call a roll call on this. Mr. Nipple,
Aye.
Mr. Meyer,
Aye.
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Owen,
Aye.
Mr. Priest,
Aye.
Mr. Strasser.
Aye.
Thank you. None opposed. Passed. All right. All right, new business. Administrator contracts, if you notice in there, basically what we are doing, we are bringing everybody to be on the same contract years. So some of them we just hired, they're on that actually just to make that to end in year 2023. Need a motion for the contract extension of the administrators as listed here.
I move we approve the contract for administrative extension presented.
Okay, thank you.
Second?
Thank you, Chris. Okay, have a motion and a second. Any discussions or questions for, on the contract extension? Tim, anything?
No questions.
Okay, thank you. If none, Mr. Nipple,
Aye.
Mr. Meyer,
Aye.
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Owens,
Aye.
Mr. Priest,
Aye.
Mr. Strasser.
Aye.
Thank you. All right. Approval of corporation financial software. At your desk, you have 3 quotes here. And it is recommended that we go with CompuControl. Let's get a motion on the table, and we have some of the experts here if we need to ask questions. So we need approval of the corporation software, financial software.
I motion to approve the corporation financial software as provided.
Thank you.
Second.
Just for the record, that's for the CompuControl contract, yes.
Right.
Okay.
Control. Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions on it?
What's the term? These are year-to-year contracts, so Henry and I went through them. You have multiple contracts with CompuController for a couple different things, but it's for providing the software for you. They automatically do roll over from year to year, but you have the opportunity to cancel that if you're not happy with their services. They actually have 3 agreements you're gonna sign, and they actually have 3 different times you have to notify them, but, the only concern that I had from a legal perspective was the confidentiality agreement. For example, there was one way to read the contract was that the contract itself was confidential, and I had to explain to them that we subject to the Indiana Access to Public Records Act, so if somebody made a request, we have to produce it, and they understood that. So, from a legal perspective, I felt comfortable. I know, I would rely on people using this day to day to tell you if it's the best one to go with.
So just so I got it straight in my head, corporation office uses CompuControl,
Right now.
student services is still Skyward, cafeteria is Skyward, and what about the individual building treasurers? They Skyward?
They will start with the CompuControl software.
No.
No, they use, what is it, CPA?
CPA, so they don't have to be trained in that.
No, not unless we decide later to add on the ECA portion of it.
So central office.
Pretty much.
Is this the total cost?
What's happened is they've upgraded the system, all the systems have upgraded, that's why we came into a phone thing where we had to look at bids. So this is a one-time, that $50,000 that you're looking at is a one-time upgrade, and it includes training, it includes maintenance, it has all that rolled into it, and then we will have a yearly fee after that. CompuControl was very nice, and they're allowing the yearly fee that we have, they maintain that, didn't give us an increase in price for this year.
So to my understanding, Nick, every year we'll need to, is it automatic, or will we need to act every year on it?
You will not need to act,
Okay,
it
so
will roll over, but if you're not happy, I'll need to look at the agreements and make sure we give them notice sufficient time to cancel out of charge. And Anne Marie caught this, they were recently, they merged with another company, he did confirm it's the same, nothing should change with your day-to-day activities with them.
Any questions, Mr. Strasser?
With this upgrade, then there are improved capabilities then, correct?
Correct. There's also going to be cloud, it's gonna be cloud-based, so that we have all our information stored.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully it's a good upgrade. Thanks.
Any questions, other questions?
I think the only question I had was comparatively to the other vendors, plus, minus, what, are we paying a lot more to stay with comp control, and is it a better program now, or? what are we comparing?
Yeah, it's gonna be upgraded. All these systems had upgrades. This is an automatic, all the school corporations are through this. When we looked at the price, which I put the other bids in here, CompuTrol actually worked with us quite well to bring the cost down since we've been using them. There is gonna be additional perks. We are also going to be hoping to add some other things, like we talked about the ECA software, that can be added in. The biggest thing was we were concerned about rolling over all of our information as well. Because if we went with a different company, we were gonna have to take all of our financial data, and it was gonna have to be rolled into one of these other datas. And with me being brand new, last time we started this process with Skyward, and like I said, I'm actually a Skyward gal, but last time we did this, I mean, everything was shut down, we couldn't find records. We were apprehensive on how that rollover was gonna look like. There's only a couple schools in the state of Indiana that are currently using Skyward, the financial piece. So we thought, let's stick with what we know right now. And the rollover is supposed to be pretty seamless with the data.
Thank you.
Yeah, if you look at them other bids, like one's at, right at 56, and I think even Skyward was like 74 to get us to a point where we'd be, so, on that. Just for a record of what the other bids said. Any other questions? All right, if not, all in favor, Mr. Strasser, we'll start with you.
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Priest?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Owens?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Meyer?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Nipple?
Aye.
Thank you. All right. Recommendations, this will be 5, actually C and D together, but it is a recommendation for adding additional positions at Delphi Community School System. I think we've already talked about this, just making it formal that the 6th section at the kindergarten, the additional halftime, would that be right, halftime guidance counselor?
Will be.
Well, but a guidance counselor position, and then actually giving our superintendent, Mrs. Circle, the authority to hire those 2 positions once the needs are on there, like we talked about before. So I need a motion for that.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Zach. Okay. Motion and second on the table. Questions for Mrs. Circle?
I would just recommend that, you know, she can certainly make the offer, but just bring it back. and do
Right,
that.
right.
Yep.
Yep.
I would like to add the 6th section of kindergarten, we're putting it on here, we are gonna make sure we have numbers. This is what that.
Beat me to my question.
Sorry, Mr. Meyer.
Well, and currently what number are they at, do you know?
No, what was
I
the
wanna say
latest?
approximately 85 kids. Again, I wish it was 95 right now, cause it'd be an easy thing, and I think they'll come.
Getting close though, right?
Right, we're getting there, yeah.
Well, few come, few leave.
Yeah, we've got some feelers out, some applicants in wait, so we may have interviews and just tell them we're kind of, be ready.
All right,
What is that number that we need to get to add that?
I think we're hoping for 90, we make nice numbers.
Don't typically get a lot right at the end. Do those come late today?
Yes, they're not just-
any other questions? Mr. Strasser, anything from you?
No, I'm glad that we're adding a 6th section. That's a good problem to have.
Any other questions? Okay, if not, Mr. Nipple?
Aye.
Mr. Meyer, Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Owens, Mr. Priest, Mr. Strasser.
Aye.
Thank you. All right. The tower lease agreement for Camden. You guys have seen this in your packet. Actually, I just sent you today an update version of that. What that is our year grant that we received as a county to develop more internet capabilities out in the country. We're working with Mr. Milet as this nonprofit organization here, and what it is giving him the rights to, on top of the water tower there at Camden, to put on a kind of a small Wi-Fi thing that is a new technology that will give more people out in the rural area access. I believe, Mr. Otis, please tell me if I'm wrong, that it'll be one level access will be free to anybody that can do it, and then if they want a higher version, then that will cost them that way, but we will be able to provide some extra service out in the rural area, which is part of the program and why we got this grant. The other part to that, we've also asked that organization that as this technology develops, that we would have free access to it, to whatever level. So if it becomes better than what we currently can get, we can upgrade our system there at the school to whatever it is. So that was kind of a caveat that Mr. Otis worked out with Mr. Mila to get on our behalf. So need a motion for the tower lease agreement.
I make a motion to approve the tower lease agreement.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Got a motion and a second. Question for Mr. Otis.
It's a rather long agreement, just basically they're putting equipment on your property and want to make sure you're protected. And so I've done a couple of these, like a little more complicated with cell towers, sort of like where they'll use a water tower to put cell structures on. So it just kind of took some of that language and tweaked it to this. So and did add the language that Kurt had requested about access for the school as well. So I'm not an expert in this technology, but it sounds like it's going to be great for the people that can access it.
Any questions for Mr. Otis? Cameron? Oh, go.
On the water tower?
No.
The tower that's on the water tower. We actually have it.
So does the city of Camden then need to be involved in the lease as well?
It's your water tower, correct?
It's not Andy's. It's our antenna that we have.
Okay.
It's
So they
our-
would have, they likely have, which is not our problem, they may have to get permission from the town as well.
We're giving them permission to install on our tower,
Yeah,
which is the agreement that we have on top.
yeah.
So,
And it's for 5 years?
yes.
Correct, and it does not automatically.
So, it's a $10 fee per year, I believe.
This potentially would help your students as well, I mean, even if you're not quarantining them, if they need access for school and whatnot.
Evening lessons, things like that.
Any restrictions similar to what the school's network does on Wi-Fi networks, as far as websites you can visit?
But
that kind of stuff?
likely if the students are accessing it at Camden, I would think that would apply, that's a very good question. I don't think you can restrict what they're doing at home, though.
Right. Internally at the builder at the school, yes, but, outside it's no different than your house, you know, where anybody can't restrict it except for if the parents want to. We don't have that authority to put a filter in there to keep that from happening.
I certainly can't speak for their organization. I got the sense it would be. Speaking with Neil.
Any other questions? Mr. Strasser, anything from you now?
No, sir.
Thank you. All right, if there's not anything else, Mr. Nipple.
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Meyer.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Rushman.
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Priest.
Aye.
Mr. Strasser.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Under other business, we have a 6A memorandum of understanding with Twin Lakes for the Life Skills Program. We need to enter into agreement with that. Let's get a motion and a second, and then we can ask Mrs. Circle. Motion to enter in agreement with Twin Lakes.
I motion to move forward with the MOU with Twin Lakes, the Life Skills Program. Second.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion, a second.
I'm sorry, do I have a copy of that, or do we have a copy of that?
In the packet.
Right. Says agreement for special education services.
Steve, you need one hard copy here? Okay, give a second there. Any questions? Mr. Strasser, do you have any questions on it?
No, this is what we've been doing for quite a while, correct?
Yes. Basically, what's happening is, we have self-contained rooms in the Twin Lakes School Corporation for our moderate special education students and some of our higher need autism students. So while they're still considered Delphi Community School Corporation students, their educational plan is over at Twin Lakes School Corporation. So.
Okay, thanks.
This is a year-to-year agreement that we need to.
Yes, it's every year, and every year it varies. We have 18 students there this past year that were being serviced.
Any other questions?
Will some of these services change with the hiring of Mrs. Bird?
Probably not, because these are students that need to have specific environments and specific things that we don't have in our building. They're self-contained. And many of the students, we have to look at their, PT services and different things that we have to hire additional personnel.
Any other questions? All right, if not, Mr. Nipple.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Owen.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Priest.
Aye.
Mr. Strasser.
Aye.
Thank you. All right. Next, we have is electronic participation. On our June 14th meeting, we adopted a resolution to be able to participate by electronic means. that the state allows us. What this is something else we need to add to that, as the state keeps, putting more and more every time onto it. So, basically, Nick, you wanna?
Yeah, the only addition is section 6, which is simply the notice required from a board member to the board president, how much time must be given. It was basically, you have a variety of options. I selected 2 days, I thought 48 hours was sufficient. Just needs to let the any board member needs to let the board president know at least 2 days before the day of the meeting about electronic participation, so that the corporation treasurer can make sure that it's set up that way. So.
And that can be by any means, like a text,
Yeah,
or email,
I think
but
so.
it needs to be written, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
okay. Need a motion to, update the, policy,
It could be by Zoom.
or by Zoom,
You could zoom in to say you need.
I guess, 2 days. Okay. All right, need a motion?
I think Mr. Strasser should.
Mr. Strasser, you wanna make a motion on this?
I move that we update the electronic participation as stated in the minutes.
Thank you. Second. Thank you. Good call. All right, any discussion on it? You understand, Mr. Strasser?
It looks pretty straightforward to me.
All right. So, Mr. Strasser, are you in favor of it?
Aye.
Mr. Priest?
Aye.
Mr. Owens?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Myers?
Yay.
Mr. Hill?
Aye.
Thank you, guys. All right. School board information. We have some internal transfers. I will actually, let Mrs. Circle, enlighten us a little bit here, because we got stipends to employees, if you wanna just
Do
kinda.
we need to mention anything about 6C?
No, we're just gonna pull it from the agenda for the night. Yeah. All right, internal transfers.
Okay, so, school board information, we had an internal transfer. As we know, Ms. Marvin, who was our project lead the way teacher at the elementary, she has moved to Twin Lakes School Corporation, so Mr. Chris King is going to transfer into that position at the elementary. These stipends. We are going to be paying these stipends out next week. All the staff will be getting them at that moment. This happens to be that gap where every 6 years we have to have 3 weeks without a pay. I think it's 6 years, might be 5, because of our the way that we have our pay structure. So we figured if we would, during this gap, we'd have go ahead and release the stipends. So they'll be coming next week. We paid out for the stipends for the school corporation $130,850. Excuse me, $1,030,850. That was the total amount.
138,000?
$130,850.
130.
$130,000. And then we've got some field trips that are going to be happening. We've got the FFA is going to the Indiana State Fair, which is always fun. And so they've got a booth there, and they're very active. Thank you to Mr. Plank, Mr. Walker, who do a great job with the FFA.
I think at this point, it's appropriate, Mr. Dell, would you like to present our guest here of our new coach and Project Lead the Way teacher?
This is Matt Crawford. We went through quite a process to try and replace a Delphi legend and Rainey as our girls basketball coach, and also a teacher that's willing to take on Project Lead the Way, which is not the easiest job to find. So we're really excited to have Matt coming to us from Clinton Central over there. He taught elementary PE and, actually is coming off last year. He won a basketball sectional with the girls there, so we're excited to have him on board and come along.
Anything you'd like to say?
No, just thanks a lot for bringing me on board and really looking forward to being in Delphi. Can't wait to get started.
All right, appreciate that.
Welcome.
Okay, future dates, agenda items. The 24th, this Saturday, we got the golf outing, the Oracle Open. July 24th through the 26th, Delphi FFA to whitewater rafting in Tennessee. July 26th, we have a work session, a joint work session with the town of Delphi for the RIF and also update on our financial for bonds.
Tip.
Residential TIF.
Yeah.
RIF.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You don't want to
Their RIF or TIF.
It is Monday the 26th.
Yeah, Monday the 26th. Yes. Yeah, my wife would love me on that one, wouldn't she? July 28th, 2021, our regular board meeting. Then August the 9th, or well, it says July 28th, it should be 26th. Yep, that's wise. August the 9th, the regular board meeting. All right, Mr. Nipple,
Now, what's the work session on the, what's the date on that work session?
the 26th, it'll be Monday, I believe, July 26th. We're planning on down in
We're
the
either gonna be here or the little
theater.
What time?
6:30.
Probably think, depending on the crowd, but we probably, I think we could probably hold it here.
We're also gonna have Baker Tilly come and talk as well. They just confirmed today. So,
All right.
Oh, thanks everybody for being here tonight. Welcome, Matt. Glad to have you.
Appreciate it.
Look
Thanks
forward
again.
to, look forward to some good basketball this year.
As are we.
Mr. Myers.
Same, welcome, Matt. Anything you need to do to be successful, let us know. Hopefully see a lot of people at the Oracle Open on Saturday to help the athletic department raise some funds. And, one thing, I think since our last meeting, our baseball team concluded their season. I wanna thank the community, for the tremendous support they gave the team. And, congratulate the team on, quite a season, making it to the Final Four in the Class 2A, state division, so. That's all I have.
Mr. Smith.
Matt, welcome to Delphi. We look forward to your taking over a really fantastic program and taking it to another level. I think it's interesting. We're facing just a ton of turnover, changes, not unique to schools. It's happening. I assume you're seeing that in all corporations. That the opportunities for people to stay at home are prevalent, and so we're going to face, I think, a challenge in all positions as we move forward. Keeping teachers retained is going to be critical. So I just throw that out there because I think that's something that's going to have to be more defined in our efforts, more defined in our hiring efforts, and certainly turnover is going to continue to plague us. It's just a different world that we're living in. So I say that to challenge maybe our school leaders to think about things that we might want to do, something internal at each school perhaps around those types of things. I think it's just something that we talked last year about finances and how the money follows the person. That is a piece of it, but it's not what's really happening. Money is actually pretty decent, and yet the turnover is still high in all of these positions. So anyway, just something to think about. It's going to be something we need to continue to focus on, and hiring the right people is always a challenge. But can we look at it differently, and what are our opportunities there? So the TIF district meeting, I think that's important that we do attend, listen to that. That's a big deal. It affects us financially. potentially could be a big win for us, but there's a lot to learn and understand about that, so I'm kind of excited to see where that's headed. But we also, need to be aware of what it could do to us financially, so, guarded but optimistic about it.
Mr. Priest.
Ditto, welcome Matt. In the next 2 or 3 weeks, teachers are gonna be starting to trickle in and get the rooms ready. I'd like to welcome them all back. Always exciting times. I'd like to thank the custodians for getting school ready for them, come back to school. I'd like to wish Terry Martin a speedy recovery at a new place today. He made on the White House and gave us husband. And Mrs. Circle did a great job on the back to school plan. Thank you.
Mr. Strasser.
Yes, I'd like to give Matt a big welcome from Houston, Texas. And I also want to wish the administrators luck. I mean, school's coming at us like a freight train right now, so, you know, I wish them all the luck on getting off on the right foot. Thanks.
Thank you. Zach.
I'll start with just welcoming Matt. It was a good interview. We're excited to have you on board. Excited to learn a new position, and I'm sure you'll do well with that. Chip, thanks for all the interviews and helping with that and all the other work behind the scenes you're doing right now as early in your career here as you are. Also, hopefully the Oracle Open turns out great, even though I won't be able to be there this weekend, so I won't bring any golf talents anyway, so. Also, just exciting, I know we do have a lot of turnover, but a lot of times that's a good thing. Seeing new people on board, maybe making those changes that some people have been waiting for a long time. But it is exciting to see all of these coaches and assistants and helpers, and that just really shows you how close to school we're getting, even though we still have a good month or so. But it just makes it exciting. And then just kind of, it's still, even though it's summer, we see a lot of things happening with some of these field trips, and I think it's going to continue to get better for some of these groups. And just thank all the parents and teachers and everyone that can help out to make that happen.
I'll ditto Matt. Hey, welcome aboard. I know you've done great things where you was previous, and I know expect nothing less than that too. So we know you're a highly qualified person that brings the energy to the table, and so we expect to see that on the court too. I also want to thank, we've got some people that that will not be with us next year. Mrs. Connor, Mrs. Gill, Mrs. Marvin, Mr. Nelson, Mr. Brandon, Mr. Reddick, and Mrs. Jones. They're all people that have contributed and will be missed, no doubt about that. So we appreciate all those people. We always want to keep our door open. You never know when you may want to come back to us. And so again, with that, we hope you, or wish you very well in your next endeavor. So with that, and I do want to say one more thing to Steve's point, the baseball team. I'll tell you what, that's a feat in itself. It really is. When you play against the teams that our school plays against, and then go down there and just, I know it's a heartbreak loss, but just the honor to be able to go in there and play in a field like that in Boot, that is just something else. So, unfortunately, 2 games wasn't in the books, but that's okay. So with that, a motion, need one more.
Make the motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Thank you. All in favor on this one? I'm just gonna take one vote. Raise your hand in favor.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? All right. Meeting adjourned.